You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. You are listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I am your host, yours truly. Thanks for stopping by. Got a lot to talk about, a lot of things to get into. But again, I appreciate you spending your time here with podcast episode number 5. I think this is number 5. Um, I'm pretty, yeah, number 5. Number 5. I might be wrong, but hey, we're gonna go with number 5. Number 5, but nonetheless, thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Mike Davis. So there are quite a bit of things to get into um, already. We are early in the week. One of the things, well, I just got some great news. I got some great news. One of my shows that I watch on Netflix is coming back this week. Starts tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to the podcast. On My Block, season 3. Not sure if any of you out there watch that show, but that is a show that has kept my interest, and it is very hard to keep my interest when it comes to television. I don't watch much TV at all. Um, you know, there are some shows. There are some shows here and there that I do watch. On My Block happens to be one of those shows. There's another show I am. I will get on into that show this weekend. I will binge watch, and I rarely binge watch. But speaking of shows keeping my attention, there is one particular show that I'm pretty sure there are people. They might not even listen to the podcast after I tell them this, but the 50 Cent show that just ended, uh, Power. I was not a big fan of that show at all. I mean, once I can pretty much, well, I won't even say that because I have watched and enjoyed some things where I can predict the storyline, but I don't know. Maybe the 50 Cent show, the Power show, was just it just I don't know. I got through maybe like 6 episodes of season 1, and I was done with it. I saw when the kid, his sister was killed in one of the episodes, and that was after season 1. That's all I needed to see. If that, I said I was going to watch the very last episode to find out who killed Ghost because that was trending all over the place. Um, it just didn't. I can't get into it. I have another show. People are probably going to be upset again. Might stop listening to the podcast. Please don't. I appreciate you listening to me. But The Wire is another show I could not really get into, and I'll be truthful with The Wire. I didn't give The Wire much of a chance the way I did with um, Power. I saw maybe like 3 episodes of The Wire, the first season, and it was too slow for me. I understand you have to develop plots, and you have to let things develop and see, where it goes, where it's gonna turn out, and it just lost me. It was an hour TV show, and I tried watching it once it was off the air. So I was watching this. So there were no commercials since I was watching it. How I watch it, I won't tell. you all out there how that is, but you can guess or assume how I did that. But I tried getting into it. I tried watching it, and it was a no go for me. Now I have had people tell me to start watching it in season 3. Um, that it really does pick up around season 3. You know, it, and if I have to do that, I look at it to like the Star Wars. I've never been into Star Wars, but I've seen Star Wars here and there. I saw the older Star Wars back in the 80s because my parents, they watched it, and my brother, he's really into it. I'm not really into it, but I know a little bit about Star Wars, but I haven't been up on Star Wars honestly since the 90s. But I can tell you a little bit about, when it first started, when the movies first were releasing. Because now they're saying, no, 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 you got to watch um the newer Star Wars first, and then you can go back and watch the old Star Wars from when it first released, and that makes no sense to me. I get what they're saying. It just makes no sense to me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to subject myself to that. If you feel that is what you need to do to get through a series, be my guest. Go ahead. I got nothing against you. I just don't have that kind of time. Either I watch it in chronological order, or I'm not going to. I'm not going to go watch part 8 and then go back and watch part 3 and then watch part 6 and then watch part 1 to understand what's what and how we got to the present day. I'm just not going to do it. Uh I have too much on my plate to even think about that. Um but there also was another show that started off a little slow, right? And I ended up loving the show. That show was Weeds. Now, I don't remember that show coming on. That show came on either Showtime or HBO. It was one of them. But Weeds was one of my favorite shows that I used to watch. And the first season was a little slow, just a little bit. But it picked up in season 2, and season 2 was one of my favorite seasons of the show Weeds. If you remember I can't say estranged wife because that's not what she is. Her In the show they have her where her husband died, the one who was selling the the weeds, hence the name of the show. But she was selling the weed, and her husband tragically passed in some accident. I don't really remember what from, but uh if you remember, she was dating a DEA agent who knew she was a drug dealer, and some things transpired. And one of the scenes toward the end of season 2, I believe his name was Peter. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I think his name was Peter, and he was dealt with accordingly toward at the end of that season. I think it was season 2, and that was some great television. I remember being excited when Peter was met uh, with what was to come of himself. But all that, television talk, and I'm glad On My Block is coming back. And I say a little bit of that because there's a new television show for those of you that don't know on FX. Lil Dicky, your boy, Lil Dicky. He has a television show, Dave. I watched the first 2 episodes last week. I am waiting for the new episode. I'm trying to get into it. I enjoyed it. I was a little worried. The first episode was, again, like I talk about this slow thing. The first episode was a little, eh, it was a little slow. It was a little slow. The second episode, I very much enjoyed it. It was funny trying to see him come up with a theme for this little boy who had tragically passed. His parents saying that Little Dicky was their child's favorite rapper. I don't think they had heard him rap before, so they wanted him to perform at his memorial. but Macklemore came in and stole the show. And I'm not gonna give it away. You can go watch the episode. I enjoyed the second episode, and I'm glad it redeemed itself from the first episode, and hopefully more. You know, we get some more good episodes from your boy Lil Dicky, um, in the show Dave. So we all know, beginning the show, I like to do all things Atlanta. Put some little tidbits in here and there. Last night, the Atlanta Hawks, your Atlanta Hawks, my Atlanta Hawks, they took care of the Charlotte Hornets in double overtime. For some reason, I was going to say Cam Newton, not Cam Newton. People, Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish showed up. He had himself a ball game. I'm the jury for me is still out on Cam Reddish. I'm not that sold on him, but I'm willing to give him the length of his rookie deal to see where we go from here. Now he had I don't have his stat line in front of me. I did see the stat line earlier, and like I said, he had himself a ball game. If he can contribute like that and be the wing that we need, then the Hawks, they can do some things. Um, I a lot of factors have to play into next season. Like I said, I'm done with the Atlanta Hawks this season. There's nothing going on. We're pretty much just playing, trying to see who is going to be our guys next year. Hopefully, Cam Reddish can't take that leap from year one to year two. I understand this is some growing pains, so I give him a little bit more of a pass than I would like a Kevin Herter. I'm just not sold on Kevin Herter at all. I call him Kyle Korver light. Not even Kyle Korver 2.0, but Kyle Korver light. Light. Okay. That being said, Hawks, they win. They get the W. They beat the Hornets. Good things rolling off for the Atlanta United. Um, Maybe someone can explain how this soccer season works to me. The Atlanta United, they're 2-0. They're without one of their best strikers. They get the win this past Saturday, but now they're going to play in some championship tournament or something. I believe down in Mexico. Eh, I'm not sure how soccer works. Again, I'm not big on soccer. I'm not huge on soccer, but you know, in Atlanta, a lot of people are into the soccer scene. There is a there is a audience. There is a fan base for the Atlanta United here in Atlanta, and I'm trying to see what it's about. Maybe check out a game here and there. But if someone can explain to me how the season works, if it's like a college basketball season where you start off the year and then you have that little tournament, like sometimes the some of the teams that they go play in a tourney over in Hawaii, before they start conference play uh within college basketball. So I'm trying to understand that. I'll look it up, you know, um, and find out. But maybe there are some people out there that can help me with that. And I also want to say before I end this segment, for the video game lovers out there, such as myself, I am a avid 2K player. Madden, I play Madden here and there. I'm not as good in Madden as I am in 2K, because Madden has it's what I'm about to say, it is what I'm going to lead into with the 2K. Now, to me, Madden is supposed to be a simulation football game, meaning it plays like the real thing. But let's be real, Madden does not play like real football at all, as opposed to like NFL. The last NFL 2K that came out with Terrell Owens on the cover, that played like a real simulation football game, not an arcade game. Well, today the NFL and 2K announced they are coming out with a game collectively. So the NFL will jump back into bed with 2K, so to speak, and they will be releasing a game in 2021. It is a non-simulation game. I have thoughts about that already. I won't get into that. I will leave that. I'll get into that more on the next podcast. But let that sink in. I just wanted to put a little tidbit out there. 2K and the NFL, they're coming back. NFL 2K people is back, but you might not like where it's going. With the they made sure they specified non-simulation, so that might be like an arcade version, kind of like an old NFL Street for those of you that remember that game. But I'm gonna take a break, and I will catch you on the other side. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And the last segment I wanted to get into, I forgot. Normally, I like to hit you with the question of the day. Now, this is a question I'm pretty sure many people have had. Uh, I saw a post online and it had it captioned "injury pill." What NBA player who had the most promising career was cut short due to injury? If you can give that guy an injury pill, who would it be? Now they had multiple players, more players than what I'm about to run off. But these are just my guys who I think deserve the injury pill. 'Cause there were some guys up there, and I have one guy up here who I really could care less if he got the injury pill. But I know there's an older audience than me that saw this guy. But for the most part, you had Grant Hill, Anthony Penny Hardaway, Brandon Roy from the Portland Trail Blazers. For those of you that don't remember, Tracy McGrady and Bill Walton. I do remember seeing Yao Ming was on that. What is the guy who was the youngest player ever in the NBA to play in the game? Played with Kobe. Remember he had a situation where he dunked on Shaq. Well, Shaq dunked on him, then he came back and dunked on Shaq. Andrew Bynum, that is his name. Andrew Bynum was on there. But look, outside of Michael Jordan being my favorite player, Penny Hardaway, hands down, was my second favorite player of all time. If I had an injury pill, Penny, not your man, my boy, Penny Hardaway would get the injury pill. Not to take nothing else, not to take anything away from any of those other guys, because Grant Hill was a bad man in his own right. Grant Hill, Detroit Pistons Grant Hill was that dude. I mean, he was as close to a walking triple double as you can get. And unfortunately, he tried playing through a broken ankle. I remember doing a playoff series, and that ankle was just never the same. He never should have played in that series. Sometimes you have to. What I don't like is sometimes these coaches, you have to protect players from themselves. Sometimes I say that with RG3. He's another guy I probably would have given the injury pill to because he was like the next coming of Michael Vick. But he can throw that ball a little better than Vic. He can throw the rock. Vic had an arm. He had arm strength. Vic just wasn't accurate. But RG3 had the total package, and there is no way he should have been in that playoff game against the Washington. I'm sorry, the Seattle Seahawks. If anyone remembers with the big brace he had on his leg, and he ended up just tearing his knee up. He never should have been in that game. That was Mike Shanahan trying to save his job, and we see where RG3 is. We see where both of them are at today. Both of them. Somebody tell me if Kyle Shanahan was a coordinator on that team. I know he was the OC here in Atlanta in the Super Bowl. Uh, in my opinion, he really lost that Super Bowl, and he just lost the Super Bowl with San Francisco. But his father was the head coach at the time of the Washington Redskins. when RG3 took that the, the nasty injury that he suffered that pretty much in opinion was the death sentence of his career. And speaking of death sentence, that saying that word like that, death sentence, but that is the question of the day. Talk about it amongst your peers, your guys, your boys, your ladies, whatever. Talk about it with them. Let me know. I want to know, who would you give the injury appeal to? So, moving on, transitioning. Barry Bonds says he feels like he has been given the death sentence by Major League Baseball. He feels exiled and he feels like a ghost in a empty house. Now, we know what this is about. And this is about the whole steroid thing. He wasn't chosen into the Hall of Fame again. He missed out. You know, Barry received 60% of the votes to get into the Hall of Fame. You need 75. He needs 75%, and he only has 2 more years of eligibility left. 2 more years on the ballot to be voted in, which is a shame. He's working as a guest instructor with the San Francisco Giants in 22 seasons. Barry knocked out 762 career home runs, passing Hank Aaron, who before him was the all-time home run leader. Barry is also the single season home run leader with 73 home runs in 2001. My opinion on this: Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before the whole steroid or performance enhancing drug situation. Do I think he took performance enhancing drugs? I don't care. I think he did. I think he did, but I don't care. Look, baseball benefited from it. Barry wasn't the only guy. You had pitchers out there. They were juicing. Everybody was juicing. Whatever. You can't just eliminate that part of Major League Baseball history. It is what it is. Balls were juiced anyway. You know. So it look. I love. I'm one of the few guys. Look, I love baseball. All right, it's one of my favorite sports. Um, I don't know. I don't have too many homeboys or friends that really watch baseball. And I remember, when I was a kid, I can sit down and I can watch baseball all day. I'll admit, I can't watch much of a game on TV, but I still love baseball. I love going to the park. I love going to the park and seeing baseball. It's a different if it's different watching it in person than on television. And baseball benefited, okay, especially after the strike. That strike year, what was it, 94? When the strike happened, baseball benefited from Barry, from McGuire, from Sosa. They benefited from those guys. Those guys brought those fans back. People were pissed off. They were peed off. They were upset at Major League Baseball. They were calling the players, crybabies, and they were selfish and like you're making enough money and to do this and whatever. And baseball, you know, the problem with baseball is that they're the old get off my lawn guy. That's what Major League is, and I understand you want to keep the game pure, and the integrity. I get it, and I get some things. You don't want some things to change. Just like recently, I saw um, again the debate about getting rid of the DH in the National League. Me being a purist, somewhat now, not all the way, but somewhat. I think that the National League uh, should not get rid of the pitching. And I said that wrong, I believe, but the DH is in the AL. So if you're in a National League park, the pitcher bats, and I have no problem with that. I like it. That's how I grew up. I grew up watching the game like that. If you're in a NL park, the pitcher bats. AL park, you have the liberty to have a DH. Fine, I like it. I don't want it to change. Stay that way forever. Don't change it. Leave it alone. And that is some of the reason why a lot of people it's a lot of these old writers. They hold grudges. Barry was mean to them. Boo hoo. So what? Get over it. You're grown. Barry was a Hall of Famer before uh, the performance enhancing drugs. Look at his last season with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I believe his last season in Pittsburgh was 1992. I think that was his last year. But I do have the major stat line. Barry batted 311, 34 home runs, 103 RBIs. That was skinny Barry Bonds. And you remember how bony Barry was when he was in a Pittsburgh Pirates uniform. Barry deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Okay? Look, Barry has never admitted to even taking any type of performance enhancing drug. If you remember in 2015, federal prosecutors, they even dropped the case. They had nothing on him. You know, his trainer, Greg Anderson, uh, was held in contempt of court twice. Twice. He went to jail for quite a bit of time. Um, well, when I say quite a bit of time, I mean for a guy who's never really been in prison or jail. How I don't know if he was held in a county or he went to prison. I have no idea, but he was held in contempt of court twice. I know he was I think he went in July of '06, and he wasn't released again until November of '07. So that was quite a bit of time, and nothing has come out and really has stuck to Barry. This it's not like Rafael Palmeiro who looked at I don't know who was this Congress he was talking to. Who was he talking to? I forget, I forget who he was talking to, but he was like some deposition, and he had his finger pointed. He was like, "I have never taken performance enhancing drugs," and then he fails a drug test immediately the next season, and we have never heard from Rafael Palmeiro ever again. At least I haven't. I don't know where Palmeiro is, and he was another um another power hitting guy. I remember him with the Baltimore Orioles. And that those Oriole teams he was on was stacked. If you remember them with Brady Anderson and it wasn't Sandy Alomar, it was his brother Roberto Alomar. I think B.J. Surhoff was on that team. Was Mike Messina on that team? But anyway, though, Barry deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Any of these guys that played in the steroid era deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It is what it is. Look, I know the get off my lawn writers, they don't like it. Look, times change, things change. They say baseball. Look, deal with it, okay? I mean, is it really going to be that bad if he gets into the Hall of Fame? It really is it really going to be that bad? Come on, guys, come on, sports writers, we got to do better than that. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Hopefully Barry gets in. I really do hope he gets in. Barry is a Hall of Famer, and I got confidence he's gonna get in. So on that note, catch me on the other side, on the flip side, and we're gonna take a break. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. All right, welcome back. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. So a lot of well, not a lot, but pretty much of the majority of the major sports leagues they have closed off locker room access because of the coronavirus that is going around. The NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm leaving some sport out, but they have closed off locker rooms due to the coronavirus to only allowing the essential employees, essential. personnel. Um, I saw something where um, what I'm drawing a blank here, but I am drawing a blank. But I saw something about how this is going to affect the fans and whatnot. Look, the fans, we know go in the locker rooms anyway, so this doesn't really concern the fans per se. Really, we aren't in there. So I understand it. I get it. Not a big thing to worry about. Now, when they want to close off the fans from going to the games, then we got something, and even then, I understand it. But they're talking about even not allowing fans in, or even just canceling the Final Four or March Madness that's going to be happening pretty soon. Arthur Blank is the owner of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Final Four is taking place. I'm pretty sure that is not news he wants to hear, but we'll keep listening for more information on this coronavirus as it affects sports leagues. Mark Cuban, he was fined 500,000, 500K, $500,000. Okay. Do you know how much money you have to be fined $500,000? One of the good things I did see that came from this, he said he's going to match that fine, and he's going to donate half a million dollars to a um, I don't have the story in front of me, but it was a guy. He has something going on, um, health wise with him, and Cuban is going to donate $500,000 to that man to help with his health situation. That's a good thing to hear. But Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, he was fined $500,000 for stepping on the floor and criticizing officials, and his protest was denied for a February 22nd contest at Atlanta as his Mavs were taking on the Hawks. Cuban contended the goaltending rules were misapplied when a late basket by Atlanta Hawks John Collins was counted. Collins scored as a whistle was blown, and goaltending of a layup attempt by Hawk star Trey Young was called uh, on the Mavs. Dorian Finney-Smith. Collins grabbed Trey Young's miss. He scored, and the confusion began. Mark Cuban didn't like it, and he protested. And the NBA said, "No, no, no, no. We will not be replaying those last seconds. It is what it is. Don't step on the floor. Don't criticize our refs. Take this $500,000 fine with you." Now, I do remember that play. It was so confusing because um it was one of the more confusing calls that I've ever seen, because it was weird. They called goaltending. Trey went up. They called goaltending, but John Collins got the basket because he put it back. And I'm not understanding what Mark Cuban's stance was, because it would have been 2 points. Either it was goaltending uh, on Dorian Finney Smith, or the 2 points would have counted on the John Collins putback. So I don't understand what uh, Cuban is protesting. I'm not getting it. The 2 points can't. Atlanta was getting 2 points either way. So I'm not sure uh, what he was arguing, what he was saying. It I didn't understand it. Look, Mark Cuban was being Mark Cuban. And I understand the Mavs. They're fighting for a playoff spot, but I didn't get it, but that's neither here nor there. But there you go. Mark Cuban, he was fined $500,000, and yeah. So also last night I was checking out the as we stick with the NBA basketball, of course. I was checking out the Nuggets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Let me tell you something. That was a very entertaining game. Now the Bucks were without Giannis. Get ready for it, my boy Antetokounmpo. They were without Giannis, who is still in my eyes the MVP of this league. Uh, but the Nuggets, they get the job done. They pull it out. They get the 109-95 win. Milwaukee stayed. They hung in there pretty much till the fourth quarter. Denver pulled away, but and also Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver looked like Atlanta Hawks. Kyle Korver out there. Korver had 23 points in 24 minutes, five threes, and you can't leave a guy like that open. And they left him open a few times, but Kyle Korver looked like vintage Kyle Korver out there. But the part I want to get to is Jamal Murray. Did anybody see this? Jamal Murray had the dunk of the year. He destroyed Milwaukee Bucks DJ Wilson. DJ Wilson should have just walked off the floor, walked through the tunnel, don't even stop and go into the locker room. Just go to the team bus, let the team bus take you to the airport, and you just fly back to Milwaukee, and we never hear from you ever again. Jamal Murray destroyed him. If you have not seen this dunk, in my opinion, mm, it's up there with the Scottie Pippen dunking on Patrick Ewing in the playoffs. I mean, the basket doesn't count. They didn't count the basket. For some reason, they called an offensive foul on Jamal Murray. I didn't see it. Maybe you can tell me where it was at. But Jamal Murray had the dunk of the year. It's over with. There's no contest. That is the dunk of the year. And on that note, I'm going to take a break right here. I'll see you on the other side. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. All right, welcome back. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. So, on this segment, I'm going to try to take it home for you. Let's get into a little bit of LA Lakers, a little bit of that MVP talk. The Lakers, uh, they had a statement win Sunday. They beat the LA Clippers on the road, but ironically, they were home because Clippers and Lakers both share Staples Center. I don't know how that is, but it is what it is. But Clippers, as I've said in other podcasts, Ballmer is trying to get the Clippers their own building out in Inglewood. I believe that is where the Rams and Chargers will be playing, and ironically, they'll be sharing the stadium over there, kind of like the Giants and Jets. I feel kind of weird about the whole sharing stadium things, but that's a different topic for a different day. And the Lakers on Sunday, they get the statement win 112-103, beating the Clippers. Your man LeBron James, he had 28, 7, and 9. That's a hell of a stat line. That's a hell of a stat line. 28 points, 7 boards, 9 assists. AD chipped in with 30 points, 8 boards. Kawhi 31, PG 31. Montrez Harrell. A lot of people don't like his game, but I love his game. He had 20 and 8. He is the garbage man. Now he left him hanging at the free throw line. I truly believe um, this game it was close throughout, but I think the Clippers really put pressure on them. If Montrezl Harrell knocks down his free throws, he missed quite a bit of free throws, but nonetheless, he had 20 points, 8 boards, and he is like I said, he is the garbage man, and every team needs a garbage man to clean up down low, and he gets the job done down there. Lou Williams had an off game. I believe Lou only had 7, if I'm not mistaken. That's not going to be the case always, which is why I think that road to the finals goes through Clippers, we already know the road to the finals. Uh, well, the road to the championship goes through the city of Los Angeles, but I think it gets to the fork in the road and it veers to the left to the LA Clippers. As they get the win, and your boy LeBron James, he showed again why he is the best player in the world. But I will say it again, Giannis is my MVP. Giannis doesn't have a AD. He has Chris Middleton, but Chris Middleton is not AD. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Okay. Look, both guys are doing work. Statement win by the Lakers. LeBron beats Milwaukee on Friday, and then he comes back and beats the Clippers. He had a heck of a weekend. And I remember Friday, he said he was going to have a glass of wine or two. Guys drink wine? Is that what guys doing? They drink wine? I don't know. Maybe I never really been a wine guy, but okay. Hey, that's what you're doing. Hey, more power to you. I'm not mad at you, but good things for the Lakers. You're a Laker fan. Uh, feel glad right now. I can't wait for the playoffs to start. It's going to be a heck of a playoffs. I hope the Lakers and Clippers. I hope they meet each other. And hey, hey, it's either win or go home. So starting now, I'm going to start giving a stat line of the weekend and a stat line of the week. For the very first stat line of the weekend, whether it's good or bad, this man gets the first award, the inaugural award for stat line of the weekend goes to my man, Marcus Morris. Give that man a round of applause. Marcus Morris. Ah, he plays for the Los Angeles Clippers. And this weekend, he put up the stat line of 1 point. I'll run it down. 1 point, 0 of 9 from the field, 0 of 7 on 3 point shots. He made one free throw in a loss to the Los Angeles Lakers and his brother, Markeith Morris. So, people out there, I want you to tell them how you really feel, and let's show them right now. Marcus, you earned that. And on that note, I'm going to close out this show. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check me out on YouTube. I hope to get this podcast on YouTube. And until next episode, this has been podcast number 5, I believe. Like I said earlier, I thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.